Good evening. Today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. This is a regular school board meeting of the School Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The time is now 6:05 p.m. The place is the School City of East Chicago Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street in East Chicago, Indiana. This meeting is now being recorded via live stream. Call the order, please, Madam Secretary.
Trustee Gibson King.
Present.
Trustee Gomez.
Present.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Present.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Madam President Tatum.
President, may we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Carry colors. Forward march. Right turn march. Color guard halt. Treason colors. Order colors. Center face. Forward march. Post. Left face. Forward march.
Thank you. Moving on to 1.03, our mission statement.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. The School City of East Chicago educates and empowers every student through aligned instruction, meaningful partnerships, and differentiated practices to ensure success in life, college, career, and civic engagement.
Thank you. Moving on to 1.04, certification. Pursuant to Indiana Code 5-14-1.5-6.1, I hereby certify that an executive session was held on Thursday, February 26, and Monday, March 9, 2026, and there were no matters discussed during that meeting other than the items listed in the posted and advertised public notice. Are there any trustees who would dissent the certification? Being none, we can move on to the next agenda item, which is 2.01, approval of the agenda. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam President, I make a
Yes,
motion to approve Second. Item 2.01.
Motion made by VP Rodriguez, second by Trustee Gomez. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King.
Yes.
Trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Madam President Tatum.
Yes. Moving on to item 3.01, Transportation Department, presentation.
Good evening again, Board of Trustees. This is one of our annual reports from our directors. I will turn it over to our Executive Director of Business Operations, Ms. Simmons.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. I am going to do a short presentation on our current fleet and our current upgrades on our buses in the district. Since I have been here, we have purchased several propane buses. We actually went out for a grant, an EPA grant for the electric buses. So we actually had the grant, we had the buses, almost semi-ordered, and then the change of arms, the EPA grant fell off. So we was unable to get the electric buses, but we did obtain more propane buses. So the district fleet currently is a number of propane, diesel, and regular gas. The regular gas has actually taken over most of the diesel buses, so we try to run less diesel as we can due to the fact of the environment, the ozone, and all. We recently got a grant for a McKinney-Vento bus at the end of 2024. So we actually ordered a McKinney-Vento bus, which this bus can be driven by anyone that's holding a valid Indiana license. So it's more like an activity bus also. But we purchased it for our McKinney-Vento students because we have a total of 4 McKinney-Vento buses, and they're from the 80s, and they are on their last leg. I think I only have 3 of them that's still in function, and 2 of them can only stay within a certain range. I only have 1 that can go out of the district, like to Portage, due to the fact that they are older. So we're actually looking to possibly purchase at least 2 more utility buses in this next coming budget season. So this is our current fleet. We have 17 protein buses, 7 gas. We have 2 of the 7 gas that's out of service. We have 15 diesel buses, 6 of them are out of service of the 15. So our out of service buses, which actually comes in handy, due to something might be majorly wrong with them, that we can keep them to actually use them for spare parts. I actually talked to one of my mechanics just recently. I'm like, okay, why don't we get these extra buses out of our back area so we can have more parking? Well, he explained to me. First thing is, we use these buses first for our trade-ins. So if we have a grant and they give us a certain portion of the money, we actually have to get rid of a bus out of our fleet. So we use these buses first to get rid of out of our fleet. So, and then they also said, well, we can also use the parts on there. Instead of buying more parts, we can take the parts off of the buses that sits in the back that is no longer functional for our students to be on, but we can still use the parts from them, which was a good thing because I was about to tow all the buses out. So I ask questions before I do anything impulsively. Anyone has questions about our fleet? So I just recently just got off the phone actually talking to our mechanic, and he stressed the point of the propane buses are better for the kids due to the point of the carbon coming out of the exhaust. He said our exhaust systems are closer to the smaller elementary level, so they take in most of the fumes. He also said that we took a great reduction in oil change prices due to the fact that our propane buses take regular quart oil and not gallons of oil. Of course, due to the inflation, it's a little bit higher now, but back then we were saving like up to $125 on oil changes in our district. They're also easier for them to get parts from a common store and not actually going to exclusive bus area, school buses, to get parts for their buses. We have currently 3 certified mechanics on property for our buses, and all of them have been here for an extensive long time. Anything goes wrong, they are called out to pick up the buses, and they take care of everything in-house unless something is majorly wrong, like a motor replacement, transmission replacement. That would be the only reason that we would send our buses out for any kind of service. So with the bus barn being actually built in 2018, we now house all our buses inside. So the bus barn is semi-heated also with air conditioner. We do have some that we need to fix, but it's easier for our bus drivers to go in, get on the bus, climate, the temperature is great for the bus, and they move out quickly out of the bus in the morning to get the students. Any questions about our fleet? So one more thing, we are looking to purchase electric buses, but we are looking for a grant. So hopefully that they will release money again for us to purchase the electric buses. My mechanics I can hands down say they are the one that strives out to get the grants for the buses. And all buses that we have purchased with grant funding. So one bus cost us $134. The 3 buses that we just got, each bus cost $134. We actually got a refund at $84,000 on each one of those. We would have got more with the 2 electric buses. We wouldn't have paid maybe 50% of it, but with the grant failing, that's the reason why we failed on the electric.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? All right, thank you, Ms. Simmons. All right, so moving on to administrative reports, Dr. Bornay.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening again, Board of Trustees. Here's my report for March 24th, 2026. We welcomed approximately 70 new families during our kindergarten roundup held last Thursday at Kerry Gosh on March 19th. Our My Brother's Keeper ambassador spent the day at IUN on March 18, 2026 for the MBK Lake County convening, along with 11 other Lake County and region schools. Our graduating seniors were also recognized with MBK stoles. In alignment with our strategic plan, goal number 3, career pathways, our students attended today Ivy Tech's Industrial Trades Open House, which will expose students to advanced manufacturing, automotive, construction, industrial, electrical, and welding pathways. Last week, CTE students participated in a field trip to a construction site and the Carpenters Training Center. This exposed them to careers in the construction industry. This site visit was made possible through our partnership with Pangier. Esports. Smash Navy is on a 3-game winning streak, defeating College Jean Suave, Canada, with an impressive 3-0 win. Isaiah Boyd, Aiden Feliciano, and Kyle Love each won 2 matches. Smash Brothers Red lost to Winnebago High School in Illinois 3-0, breaking their 2-game winning streak. Lance Flowers Roman had 1 victory in the loss. Both teams are gearing up for their sectionals coming up in mid-April. Let's give our esports extracurricular activity a hand. Our boys basketball team concluded their season in the Class 3A semi-state this past Saturday. We want to shout out all of our student athletes on their incredible achievements. East Chicago was full of pride and energy in Logansport this past weekend. Let's give them a hand. National Education Diagnostician Day was celebrated on March 5th, and it honors the vital role school diagnosticians play in evaluating student learning needs and guiding special education support. These professionals assess students, create individual plans, and assist teachers to ensure all students succeed. Let's give a round of applause for all of our SCEC diagnosticians. Also during the month of March was National Maintenance Worker Appreciation Day, observed on Friday, March 7th. We want to recognize all of those staff who help maintain our properties. We did previously recognize all our custodians during National Custodial Day, so this is an opportunity for us to recognize our other maintenance team. Hector Mendoza, Carlos Perez, Michael Monaghan, Keith Cleveland, Jose Velez, Lenny Francisci, and Francisco Romero. Let's give them a hand. Each year, ISBA, the Indiana School Boards Association, honors our member school boards and individual board members for their service and dedication to ongoing professional development. The most effective board governance requires a continual commitment to learning and development. Our Exemplary Governance Awards program recognizes the efforts of board members to earn points for professional development by participating in learning opportunities and governance-based activities throughout the year. Our Board of Trustees will be recognized as commendable at the upcoming spring regional meeting. This means the majority of our members have achieved at least 75 Exemplary Governance Award points. Let's give our Board of Trustees a hand. Parent University is Saturday, April 18th from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at East Chicago Central High School. Parents can still register via our website and using the QR code. And finally, spring break will be March 30th through April 6th. School will resume Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. We want to wish everyone a happy and restful and safe spring break. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Mornay. All right, moving along to 4.02, which is Executive Director of Business Operations, Ms. Simmons.
Good afternoon again. Good evening, I'm sorry. So I do want to give an update on the current HVAC project, the large HVAC project that is going on at Central High School. So in the upcoming week, I do believe spring break week, we will start taking windows and side panels off of door Y to make this our trash locator to come out for all of the HVAC handlers that's going to be broken down. They will bring all of those coming out of that window. That area will be roped off to all students, but we will start this on Monday, starting of the spring break. HVAC is coming along great. We are on schedule with everything as far as we just did our bidding on the actual services of the mechanicals that will be starting this project. We did the bid on the equipment probably about 3 months ago, so that has been in the processes of some of the equipment coming in. Pangaea is handling this whole project. I actually added a 1.5 to this project, and this 1.5 includes the air handler, which is over the swimming pool. That is currently in the processes of going through the engineering to develop it, and then Pangaea to actually put it out to bid for the equipment and the services on that. The update on the project also for the stairs and the elevator at the Central, it is right on schedule. I just actually talked to Huntington this afternoon. We're right on schedule with that one. The stairs is due to be completed within the next 3 weeks. The elevator is going to take a little bit more time. We're still waiting on equipment to come in there. So I did add a couple more projects this week onto the summer schedule. We will be redoing, I do believe at least 13 bathrooms throughout the elementary schools due to the fact of pre-K coming in. We want to make them welcoming to all of our little people. So we are redoing their bathrooms. We're going to give them a little sparkle in their floors and everything. Also, we actually talked to a vendor 2 days ago about an issue that we're having currently at Block. This is going to be a small HVAC upgrade, and that is just a part that we're having major problems with, which causes Block to be very extremely hot. So we're going to address that with a new compressor. We're going to start there with the new compressor for Block, which is a small project that probably will be done by, I think she told me, at least by June. One more major project is the auditorium. I am actually working on that one. I know alumni is working on it also. So I will have more updates on the auditorium in forthcoming meetings. Any questions or anything?
Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
Yeah, I just want to ask one question before you leave, Leila, if you don't mind, please. The auditorium, what school are we speaking about? Central?
Central
All
auditorium.
this is Central High School
Central and Block, and then the 4 elementaries for the bathrooms.
for the bathrooms, right? Okay. I know that, your business operations now, are you, over the nurses, it's over the nurses too? Is that part of your job?
No, I'm not over the nurses.
What, do you have anything to do with them per se?
No, I do not.
Who would that person be?
That probably will
That'd be
go through the
Dr. Burnett?
superintendent.
Okay, I just want to know. And the reason I ask is because, you inquires about them or whatever you do when you go to the schools?
No,
the
not
nurses?
particularly.
Okay, all right, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Simmons. All right, so moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any comments or questions from the audience? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made by Madam Secretary Smith,
Second.
second by VP Rodriguez. Are there any comments from the board?
Madam President,
Yes, Trustee Gomez.
so at the last board meeting, Attorney Harris, we passed policy 00173. We now need to ratify it?
Yes, Madam
Yes.
President, can I explain?
Yes, Attorney Harris.
So you're correct, Trustee Gomez, that policy was passed by the board. However, in looking at the minutes as they were being prepared, there was not a motion or a second prior to taking the roll call vote. So this is somewhat of a technicality that, yes, you did approve it, but we need to make sure that the minutes are accurate to reflect who made the motion, who made the second. So that's why it's listed in the consent agenda as a ratification. This is just a technicality.
And then I'd like to make a secondary motion to approve the consent agenda with the subtraction of, on the claim docket, page 6, claim 97090.
On a claim docket?
Is there a second to his motion?
Second.
Second made by Madam Secretary Smith.
Page we on?
So do I get a motion now to approve the,
If there's any discussion on that secondary motion, you've got a motion and a second. Roll call, you would just need a roll call for the secondary motion, which is to approve the consent agenda with the removal of the one item from the claims docket.
are there any discussions for that removal?
Can I get that number again, please?
Trustee Gomez, can you provide the number to Ms. Simmons?
Sorry. It's on page 6. The claim number is 97090. 97090.
Okay, thank you.
And just to confirm, that claim has already been paid out, Ms. Simmons?
Page 6, we actually have the check cut for it.
It's cut, but it hasn't been handed.
No, it is actually here in the building.
It's still in the building.
Yes, it is. We do not send out any checks prior to board approval. Only thing goes out for is pre-runs, and we limit those, but anything on the regular run, they're here in the building. We do not send them out until after board approval,
Okay.
okay?
Madam President,
Yes, VP Rodriguez?
with regards to page 6, claim 97090, correct? Okay, I see it. I'm sorry. I do see it.
All right, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, I'm voting that the check don't need to add building. And the other checks, let me ask you a question, Ms. Simmons, if you may. The other dollars that was paid to this individual,
Point of order.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the roll call.
Okay, well, I'm voting no, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Madam President Taylor.
Yes. Now I need a motion to approve, no?
You don't, the secondary motion was for approval of the consent agenda with the removal of that item. So you don't need to go back and do it. You can move on to the next issue.
All
Thanks.
right. All right, so moving on to new business, item 6.01, approval of technology students internship. Do I have any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.01?
Madam President, make a motion to approve item 6.01.
Motion made by VP Rodriguez, second by trustee Gomez. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King,
Yes.
trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
Madam President Taylor.
Yes. Moving on to item 6.02, approval of contractual services for Michelle Connick to provide CPR certification. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.02?
Madam Chair, so moved to approve 6.02.
Motion made by trustee Gomez, second by VP Rodriguez. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King,
Yes.
trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Madam President Taylor.
Yes. Moving on to item 6.03, approval of reconciliation memo. Are there any comments or questions from the audience? Yes. Okay.
Good evening, Helen Steinbach, 5207 East 73rd Avenue. Before you start talking about approving whatever this resolution memo, I'm just a little concerned about some of these numbers. So $788,000 is being returned, and $1.3 million is being transferred from the education fund. And are there dates associated with these things? And who is in charge of these things at the time? And what are we doing to prevent this from happening again?
Okay, I think, thank you, Ms. Steinbach.
All right. Thank you, Madam President and trustees and Dr. Bournet. Glad to answer any of the questions that you have. I'll start with just an overview of the memo to make sure it's clear what's happening, and then obviously we'll answer any questions or go deeper if requested. So hopefully this is not the first time that you're hearing this. I've included updates regarding the fact that this was coming in several of our reports to the board. This is also something that has been cited by State Board of Accounts in previous audits that would have been presented to the board as well. So this is hopefully not a first time, but this is hopefully the final time that you're hearing about some of these issues, because I also agree that we need better practices to prevent this from happening again in the future. This memo is cleaning up fund balances, many of them that are a decade old or within the last 10 years. It spans across quite a few different grants, from title to state grants and so on. You know, one thing that is conspicuously missing, which I think is a great thing, is special ed. Their funds have been consistently balanced. So shout out to Mary and her team on that for sure. But you know, when we started working with you all in earnest last year, this was one of our projects that we started working on, because it did take quite a long time to prepare and present this memo to you, because we were trying to mitigate how large of numbers had to be transferred, really looking through old records, balancing each fund one at a time, confirming with the state, and so on. So there's several sections. One is funding that does have to be returned to the Department of Education, some state funds that need to be reconciled with the education fund, and then federal funds reconciling with each other, And then lastly, federal funds that need reconciled with the education fund. So this exercise is required to be approved by the board. Anytime you transfer money from one fund to another, State Board of Accounts looks for board approval. So that's really leading to the length here of the number of funds that you see. So I'll stop there and can answer any questions if you have more.
Madam President,
Yes, VP Rodriguez.
there's one, two, three, there's five particular grants dealing with from Title I all the way down to STEM Title I LEA. Can you provide the years for each of these?
Right. Yeah, so the first one is fiscal year 24, which would be 23-24. And then Title III, the 6880, I believe was from 2020. And then the last three lines are all stimulus money. And so those would have been allocated to the district in 2020 or 2021.
Can you, excuse me, Mr. Williamson,
Yes, Trustee Gomez.
thank you. Can you give an overview of these five dollar amounts and what they possibly could have gone towards?
Yes. So the first one, Title I, that would have been able to be used for supplemental teachers, tutoring, summer school, things like that, materials. Title III is a funding stream that supports English learners, so professional development, additional teachers, tutoring, and so on for students who are multilingual learners. And then the bottom three are all stimulus funding, and so those were quite flexible, responding to the pandemic, and also supporting educational needs. So again, teachers, books, materials, tutoring, and so on.
Yeah, that was Title I money? Was that Title I you said, that was for those subjects you said, Nathan?
Yeah, so Title I would have been the first one, and that one is used for supplemental teachers, summer school, tutoring, and so on.
Madam President?
Yep.
Yes, VP Rodriguez.
I know that in the last couple of years that we've been giving monies back.
Right.
Have you done your reconciliation in terms of the dollars that we've given back to see if any of these dollars, because I know most of these dollars are reimbursements from dollars that we may have used out of our educational fund. And so I just don't want you sending something back that actually belongs to us.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't either. Honestly, it took about a year to get to you because the numbers started out much larger. And we really tried to go fund by fund to find any allowable activities to reduce any funding that would be returned. And so I agree with you. I mean, ideally, this would not be happening. A memo in front of the board, this is abnormal for this to be occurring. So obviously we want to prevent that from happening in the future, but we spent many of days trying to find allowable activities to move. The problem is some of these are so old that the records associated with them we don't even necessarily have anymore. And so that leads to the $1.3 million impact on the education fund. But the ideal scenario when you have a grant is, let's say it's $1 million. You have $1 million worth of expenses, $1 million worth of reimbursements, and the funding is now zero, and you mark it off and you're done. And that's just not been the case. We haven't, reconciled it to that level. We're doing that now with our help in moving forward, but that wasn't the case before, and so it really was trying to find a needle in the haystack to get this number down.
And the only reason why, I'm sorry, just 1 second. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up, because looking at the 795-1, that 401-153, that number was different. Like less than a month ago. It had to be at like 470 or something like that. So what changed from that different amount till now at 401-153.05?
Yeah, we've continued to work on the memo to try to get the numbers down as much as possible. So if you would have asked for the memo a year ago when we first started, all of these numbers would have been higher. So it really has just been us continuing to try to physically search for records, look for it within your system, work with the state to find out where we can reduce this number to get it in front of you at the lowest possible.
So my question is, you said some of them are very old,
Yes.
like, so what's the latest, like 24, 25?
I believe the latest is 23, 24.
23, 24?
23.
And, you know, the funds that are newer, we still have the ability to work and try to reconcile those without putting them on a memo and fixing it now. Funds that are even 2 years old, Indiana schools are required to certify their books every 6 months. It's your Form 9. So even going back into one previous 6-month period is hard to fix. So we did seek guidance, and then in past work that we've done with other districts and knowing what State Board of Accounts would accept, really tried to get these numbers down.
So what I'm saying is a lot of this didn't meet the deadlines. Did some of this, am I saying that correct? Like some of them didn't meet the deadline, like 9/30, September the 30th of that year, all of that's supposed to be finalized, and grants or titles or whatever is supposed to be finalized and turned in on September the 30th of that year, of each year. Am I correct?
So September 30th would be the encumbrance deadline when we have to do the activity or issue a purchase order. December is the liquidation time period.
Okay.
But to answer your question, did these things happen by the December period? Were they reconciled as we went? No, and that's why we're here today in front of you.
Well, this is saying all transfers for federal funds represent a correction within the same type of funds. All federal grants have, at a minimum, overlapping of 2 fiscal years. Each grant has a minimum, at a minimum, I guess that's supposed to be date 7/1 to 9/30 for the respective year which funds overlapped.
Yeah, would you like me? I can explain that further. So that bullet point, normally you would never have a memo that wants to transfer federal funding. We're supposed to open an account, spend it, ask for reimbursement, get it to zero, close it out. But we had some funds. This is almost like you had, if you signed into your bank account and you had your main bank account, but you had multiple others, some were in the negative, some were in the positive, and you thought all were zero. And so we're making sure to go one by one to say there was money spent in one fund that should have been spent in another. Or when we got paid back, the money was deposited in one fund and it should have gone in another. And so that's what got these numbers down, because we found actual expenses that were charged in one place that should have been charged in another. And so because these are so old, I can't go back in your system and change it. So the only way I can change it is to ask your approval to transfer the money.
I have two questions.
Sure.
My first question is, you're stating that, you know, this goes way back, right?
Right.
And I know you came on, I believe, in 2024, correct? And then the contract ended, then you were brought back on at the end of 2025.
Yes.
When was this identified? Did you identify this when you first came back on, when you first came on in 2024? Or was this something that you just identified now when you came back at the end of 2025?
It was first identified around this time last year.
Around this time last year?
Correct.
But I don't think you were on around this time last year, were you?
We were until June 30th.
just 6
So from, I would say around March of '25 is when I started to recognize how
Okay.
the current state looked. And we started working on it at that time. We did prepare a memo, but with our contract ending June 30th, I think it was staff were to present that, and I don't know if it did. And so that's why I'm back in front of you now that you all brought us back on to make sure it got fixed.
So this was a recommendation you gave and you presented to whomever you were working with prior to your contract ending?
Yes, we did prepare a memo similar to this based upon last year's numbers. I don't believe that memo was ever presented to you.
Okay. My second question, and we'll move on, is you stated earlier that you've also did some work with the state to see if we could lower this number. What did that work look like? Was it successful?
Right. So we did work with the state, asking questions in order to be able to even just prepare the memo to make sure, because audit interpretation changes over time and how things are handled. So we asked for some guidance. As of Friday, I met with the state director as well. And, we got to this number, $788,000, that has to be returned. I did ask for permission to not return it, and I was told that that was not an option. And so I am waiting for them to reply if we can do something like a payment schedule so that we don't have to send all this money back at once. But I didn't get that answer before today coming in front of you.
Okay.
Madam Secretary, President, I got 2 or 3 questions I'd like to ask to.
Yes, Trustee Gibson King.
Yes, now, Mr. Nathan, if I'm not mistaken, you said the Title I money was for teachers,
Yes.
and who else you said, parents?
Yeah, Title I.
Training? Yes. So you didn't come on, what year you said you came on in '25? You came on before '25 because we were under the interim, Mr. Mitchell. That's when what year was that?
Yeah, 24 was your first contract with us.
24, right, and, okay, and then I had some concerns with some dollars then
Right.
that was not utilized for the purpose of what it was for, and it was for the children, and the teachers and the parents, but that never took place. But it was given to some individuals that I disagreed with. And my understanding, my question I think I was asking you then was, why didn't we not ask, like you're saying now, can we allocate these dollars for the purpose of what it was used for, instead of giving it to some individuals that had nothing to do with our children?
Right. So I think what you're speaking on is when I presented to you before, I've
Yes.
presented numbers that were never even asked for. So there were millions that were forfeited that
Yes.
never even hit our books.
Yes.
This is dollars that have hit our books, but we've not managed it very well. And we have surpluses and negatives that we need to balance. So there really is 2 separate problems. One is we turned back money and never even sought it. The second one is what I have in front of you of we did get it, but the record keeping wasn't the greatest. And so we have all of these old funds that are not at zero and are not closed.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get an understanding so I could vote right on what you're saying here, is because you also said that anytime that we have to monies have to be transferred from one fund to the other, and it has to be board approved.
Correct.
So how is it, I don't recall myself voting on any operations money going to title. I didn't vote on nothing like that. So how did that happen?
I have never asked for approval for you to transfer operations to title, so I'm not aware of that happening.
But I mean, you know that's how it's supposed to have went, because now you asking us to do it, but it was never done.
So generally in the past and current, the way it should work is you set up a fund, you spend it, and it runs into the red, it runs into the negative. And so it's pulling from your overall cash balance, but it's not really taking from any of the other funds. It's purposely running one into the negative. Then when we seek reimbursement, that fund gets back to a zero. So that normal process is not transferring it, but this is explicitly transferring because these funds are closed. I can no longer ask for approval to spend. I can't ask for more money from the state for the ones that are in the negative, but they're still hanging out here that there's, as if you had an old checking account that was in the negative that you forgot about and was sent to collections, essentially, is a personal analogy here to what your school books look like. And so that's why I have to ask for the transfers, because these are closed funds.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, one more thing. So basically, this has to be turned back in, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, you've been cited by the State Board of Accounts
Yeah, I know.
already. So they've already told us to do it.
Yeah,
And now it's coming in front of you so that we make sure it's done.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your explanation and for answering our questions. We'll move on, Madam Secretary. Roll call, please.
No.
No.
I ain't got no other choice.
I'm going to say no.
Before I vote, if we don't send this, approve this, what status would that put us in then?
So State Board of Accounts has already told us to do it. So
Right,
as a former auditor myself, I would consider the district as very high risk if the state had told you to return the funding and you chose not to. So it could put future dollars in jeopardy. The state is expecting us to manage these funds well, and the memo in front of you is indicating that they weren't for quite some time. So this allows us to have a clean slate and to start fresh. If you don't approve it, these are going to stay the same way. We're going to continue to get cited.
you're right.
And they may choose to not give us any of the funding that I'm talking about in front of you. So I would strongly encourage you all to please vote yes.
Our funding could be frozen.
Well, here's
Well,
the
they
way I
already
see it.
froze, as far as I'm concerned.
Here's the way I see it. We're going to approve this memo, and maybe you can clarify this for me as well, because that was going to be my next question, that if we send this money back, and when later on, we find out that there was actually some expenditures that could have came out one of these grants, sending all of it at once, and just what I said earlier, I mean, it went from 470 down to 401. So can you honestly say 100% that you have went through every expenditure account and every account that we currently have and say that every dollar has been used or has been taken from these grants?
I would say that we absolutely made a good faith effort on every single fund, which is why it took such a long time to get to you. I would say an alternative would be, a forensic accountant looking through all of these files, but that's rather expensive as well. You probably are going to spend more on them than the money we're returning. And then two, I think timeline is important because the state has already cited us. We should have done this a long time ago, and it's me bringing it to your attention again. And so I think that's important. We just need to get it fixed and move on. I'm willing to work with the state to ask for the payment schedule, and if there are other things we find, of course, we could come back to you and say, and ask for a correction for a lower figure. But, these have been hanging out for quite some time. And I think it's important from an audit perspective to show the state that we're getting our books in order. And we're putting in a lot of internal controls so that this doesn't happen again. But the key is we have to fix the old pieces too. Did you
Ms.
have
Simmons,
anything?
you have something to add?
Yes, so, as I'm not for sure, has the audit been published yet? I do believe it has, but some of these funds is listed in the audit as dormant funds, and it's some of them. So eventually, I'm gonna have to bring this list of dormant funds that the auditor says that we need to close also. So you possibility could see these, same funds twice, because I have to bring it before the board also.
So let me ask you the same question then. So do you feel that we have gone through every expenditure during that period to ensure that none of those dollars that may have been pulled from another account that should have been pulled from, or should have been taken out of these grants?
So with me just starting working into this, because I think it's been about 2 or 3 months that I have been looking into these accounts. When he first brought it to me, I have found some money. I have went through. And before we make the final changes on the transfers, we can go back through these to make sure that we're sending back exactly what we need to send back, or if we don't have to send anything back, that we can transfer. That is just the audit part of me that can do it that way. So, and then if we don't have to do the transfer, it's automatically approved that we can say, we're not gonna do the transfer. But that part does not have to come back before the board, but the part of the transfer, which, like I said, this audit said that now we have to bring, even my simple transfers that I do between funds have to now comes before the board to say, hey, I'm transferring this from fund to fund. This was not a precedent years ago because we have always transferred from fund to fund. If there was an error or something done, but now they are saying that we have to bring this before y'all, before we transfer. Now the return of the money, I can work with Nathan to make sure that we go through again, to make sure that the money is exactly what needs to go back to the state and move forward with sending the money back.
I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna let this go, because whether you want to believe it or not, you're playing with state boards of accounts and you're playing with federal dollars. Now, they're just like the IRS, basically. Either you pay it or they're coming after you, whatever assets you have. I'm just using that as an example. When they find your findings, you have to follow their rules. That is the State Board of Accounts.
Yes.
Unfortunately, because we have not had any structure in this district from, you say, 2020? You said you found something from 2020?
Some of these are a decade old.
Okay, so I'm just saying, now we're on the right track with you. But after this, and like I said before, I'm gonna go yes, because I know how important this is when that audit and when you have to follow the federal guidelines. I understand that. I would rather send this money back. You might not agree with me, and it really doesn't matter, because if you're not a business person, you don't know, you're playing with numbers. So I would rather vote to send this money back, get this audit corrected, and follow through with integrity and do it the right way now that we have you. But I'm also gonna say this. I wasn't here in 2020, but I was here in 2023, 24. And when I made the statement, when I said that anything that happens 24, 23, 24, that it was gonna be on the superintendent's head, I meant just that. So I'm letting you all know, I'm saying it again, I'm holding him accountable for for those years that we did not. I can't hold anybody else accountable because they weren't here. But I told him, and I made it perfectly clear, when you came in and that title person was there, that grant person, that this was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. Because I knew that you have to have knowledge of what you're doing. And for them to keep switching, not just this administration, but prior administration, you're switching this person, that person quits, that person quits. You're never gonna get a damn thing done because you have no stability. So either you all say yes to it, or you don't say, or you say no. Now then, when you say no, and the chips fall, let the chips fall where they may, we are already falling. We don't need to fall any further. So if you all wanna play these games, be my guest, go ahead. But my vote is yes.
Thank you, trustee Smith.
Madam President.
Attorney Harris.
Can I say one more comment, and then I will promise that I'll go through all of these accounts one more time. We've been going through them numerous times. But what I'm asking for today is approval, and you can consider these as top-line numbers. I will go through it one by one with Ms. Simmons again to try to get these numbers down further. But at the end of the day, whether we do it today or in the future, we eventually will have to do it.
Thank you.
And we're being required to do it. So I do implore you to approve it.
Thank you. VP Rodriguez, you have one thing to say?
Yeah, Madam President, I'm going to go ahead and recall my vote. Vote yes.
Well, I was just going to ask, in light of the additional information that we just received, can I redo the roll call?
Yes, because you allowed additional comments, I would recommend that you start the roll call over again. You don't need another
Well, I
motion and a
just want to
second.
ask a question before we do the roll call, if you don't mind, Madam President. Because if we can just take Nathan's word for what he's saying here, and then we could have some further discussion on it, so we could all be on the same accord.
Yeah,
Because right
I'll
now-
have
right
them,
now-
I'll
right
have
now
them
we
submit
not.
all that. I'll have them
That's right.
submit all
Okay,
that,
do
but
that.
we've kind of already
Yes.
all touched on it more than twice. So
Yes.
for the sake of time, Madam
Yes.
Secretary, roll call, please.
Thank you.
Trustee Gibson King.
No.
Trustee Gomez.
No.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Madam President Taylor.
I morally want to say no, but ethically I have to say yes.
I don't wanna say no either, but
All right, thank you so much. You're welcome. Moving on to item 6.04, approval of Kerry Gosh as early voting place. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.04?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve 6.04.
Motion made by trustee Gomez. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by VP Rodriguez. Are there any comments from the board?
Yes, Madam President. I
Yes,
have the-
trustee Gibson King.
Thank you. The newspaper article is saying that they have found this location here at Kerry Gosh School for early voting, but I don't think that nothing has been sent out to the residents.
No, so I think that was at the board level of the Board of Elections,
Elections,
not,
okay.
not our board level.
I understand that,
So
but I was
that's
just
what
saying
this
what I'm
is-
reading here. I'm just asking a question. That's all I'm doing.
Right, I was just providing clarification that it wasn't this board that.
Right, it was their board,
Yeah,
right.
it was the Board of Elections Board
Yes.
that agreed.
to do this.
To pretty
yes.
much
Okay.
ask us, yes.
Okay, then, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, VP Rodriguez,
Yeah,
could you?
I can timidly
Because that's what
explain
I was
it
gonna
because
ask,
I think
let him
I think
expound on
every voter is supposed to be getting some sort of notice with regards to the new location. And that's usually done on any precinct that is moved within that precinct district. And of course, you know, after board approval today, the flyers and everything else will go out. I think they're waiting for all that too.
Correct, so they're waiting for our approval before the information goes
Yes,
out.
okay, that's what.
Okay.
You answered my question, trustee Rodriguez. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King.
Yes.
Trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
yes.
Madam President Taylor.
Yes. Moving on to item 6.05, discussion of bond council review of timeline for proposed bond. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.05?
Madam President, make a motion to approve item 6.05.
Motion made by VP Rodriguez. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Madam Secretary Smith. Are there any discussions from the board?
Madam Chair.
Yes, VP, sorry,
Attorney
trustee
Harris,
Gomez.
could you address this?
Yes, so included in your board packet is a timeline for the bond, the schedule for the bond issuance that will be issued through the East Chicago Multi-School Building Corporation. So the only thing that you're doing today is kind of the second step in the process. At our prior board meeting, there was just a general overview that was provided to you by Attorney James Shanahan. Today is, you have before you in the board packet, the actual schedule from today all the way through its conclusion, and that's just your approval of that timeline. And then each step along the way, there are requirements for approvals, the next step being a public hearing at our next meeting.
Thank you. Are there any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Moving on to item 6.06, approval of memorandum of understanding with the City of East Chicago for the use of buses for Fusic Fest. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.06?
Madam President, make a motion to approve item 6.06.
Motion made by
Second.
VP Rodriguez, second by trustee Gomez. Are there any discussions from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Moving on to item 6.07, approval of professional development request. Are there any comments or questions from the audience?
Madam Chair, just a point of order at 6.08.
Board docs, I have 6.07.
Professional development request.
Anyone has anything else different?
6.07.
6.07. Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.07?
Madam President, make a motion to approve item 6.07.
Motion made by
Second.
VP Rodriguez, second by trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Moving on to item 6.08, approval of personnel report. Are there any comments or questions from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.08?
Madam President, make a motion to approve item 6.08.
Motion made by VP Rodriguez and second by, I believe I heard trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Are there any discussions from the board? Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, I do have.
Yes, Madam Secretary Smith.
Yes, I'm not saying I'm not approving this, but I do like some further discussion with Dr. Bournier regarding a personal on this. And I think the board needs some answers on that. But right now, I'll go along with this to approve this, but we need to discuss this.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
No.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Moving on to item 6.09. This is just an approval of appointment of Board of Finance pursuant to policy 0155.1, the Finance Committee. I will be appointing VP Joel Rodriguez to this Finance Committee. And that will complete our Finance Committee members of Trustee Secretary Diane Smith and VP Rodriguez, Joel Rodriguez. Okay, so that concludes our new business. Moving on now to public forum.
If you've signed up to speak tonight, if you could please state your name and your address. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Please be respectful of the board, staff members present, and the audience, and please refrain from discussing any individual personnel matters.
Helen Steinbeck? Okay, and I believe that concludes the public meeting.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so now moving on to trustee remarks. Trustee Gibson King?
Yes, I want to take a minute to thank our basketball team that they played very hard, as we all know. And I don't want their morale to be down because of what happened. You know, we have made it to Logansport. This is the second time, so maybe the third time is a charm, as we say. I also want to say that I did attend the kindergarten roundup March the 19th, and we had several resource vendors that were there to give out vital information. But I did speak with the fire person that was there, Mr. Damien, Dr. Bonet. And as you would know, that they had went over to Lincoln School with some violations. There's still some violations that have not been met yet, so I would like to bring that to your attention. And then, pardon?
You said Lincoln?
Yeah, Lincoln School. Thank you. Yes. And then also, another matter that's continuing to go on. I know you said that November the 25th, that the students would be moved from downstairs, but now they're upstairs. They're still there. So that's in itself is not a good situation at all either, as far as these violations that's going on as well with the school. So I'd like to see some of those, I would like to see that to be addressed. That's the main concern there. As well as today I got several phone calls today by one of our teachers that has put a lot of emphasis in doing a lot of things with our students. I'm going to use you, Mr. Athletic Director, Mr. Gordon. Gordon he's our athletic director, and what has happened that I've never seen happen is that by him being the athletic director, he has brought other students that together with sports. Now we have music that was involved with sports. We had Deborah Williams' dance group that got involved with sports. So these are all of our children coming together up under one umbrella. I think that if they are allowed to do some of these things together and just as being a team separate, I think that if they come together some kind of way, whatever curriculum that they are involved in, I think that it would make a big difference on them trying to want to do better, if you will. I know they want to do better, but I think that something else has got to change and to make all of this come together. It's going to have to take somebody, someone. Right now, I'm speaking to you, athletic director, because you have your job is more athletics, you know, and so we've brought other teams together. We brought them together with our football. You know, they come out now and cheer on and what have you not. So some things that we used to do as far as school, we don't need to. Some things don't need to be changed. Some things need to be brought back to better our children. So I would like to expound on that as well. So today the phone call saddened me. The phone calls that I was receiving was from the parents because of their children, something that they really enjoyed doing at school. And now all of a sudden now something has happened. But I know that it'll be addressed with Dr. Bonet, with the board as well. I don't want to bring it out in the public right now, but I just want to address it out in the public, something that has happened. So so I would just like to say that I'm still proud of our students and going to always be proud of them. But I'm not proud of some of the things that's been happening. And has not just started to happen. It's a continuing situation that's happening with our students. I'm not talking about grown people. I'm talking about students. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Trustee Gibson King.
Oh, and one more thing. I just want to say with our president, you're an athletic volunteer too. See, that's what I'm saying. See, all that's going to have to come together. You volunteer, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, then thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Trustee Gomez.
Just, so I'll be brief. Congratulations to the basketball team, the coaches, cheerleaders, and the fans. In particular, the fans did a great job supporting the team. And I hope that we can carry over that enthusiasm to the spring sports such as girls softball, track, and so on. Yeah, that too. And I'd like to thank Mr. Gordon for inviting Bishop Nograd to speak at the Winter Sports Banquet. Much appreciated. That concludes my remarks. I had to.
Jesse, I got the gavel now, so tread lightly.
I knew he was going to throw that in there.
I'm sorry, who was that, Logan Sport? Okay. As you were. All right, thank you. VP Rodriguez.
Good evening. Again, I do want to extend a massive congratulations to the senior varsity team. And to my understanding, the majority of them, that varsity team are freshmen, right? So I'm really excited to see what happens these next couple of years with these freshmen moving up to sophomores and juniors and so forth. Do want to give you a little bit of what happened last week with the congressional judicial hearing in Washington, D.C. One of the discussions was Plyler versus Doe. And to provide some context, this was a landmark in 1982 court case, Supreme Court case, which ruled states cannot constitutionally deny students a free public education based on their immigration status. The court found that penalizing children for the actions of their parents and creating a permanent underclass violated the Equal Protection Clause of 14th Amendment. And again, just to kind of give you a little more history, in Texas, they were charging $1,000 to allow undocumented and documented students to attend public education. And that's how this thing all came out back in 1976. And of course, in 1982, up in the Supreme Court is when they ruled, they say, hey, you can't do that. And so that was definitely a landmark case. And our recent federal discussions underscored how deeply this 40-year-old president is being debated today. Why were there opening discussions on it today? I have no idea. But while some members of Congress raised concerns regarding fiscal strain and judicial overreach, others champion a long-term economic and humanitarian necessity of educating every child in our community. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Madam Secretary Smith.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say congratulations to our basketball team, but also congratulations to all of our students and all of their accomplishments, whether they were dance, whether they was in the cleanup, whether they were in student achievement, anything that they achieved in, that's a step towards success. But I do have one thing that I am going to say. And it's bothered me, and this was my speech, but I'm gonna cut it down, and I'm gonna be simple, and I'm gonna be professional, which everybody knows I can sometimes go a little bit overboard, but I'm gonna be professional about it. With all that, and I'm going back to Trustee Gibson, you said that a lot of our children, they're participating in the extracurricular activities, which does make them want to participate in school, that makes them want to strive. That's why we're trying to get extracurricular activities in, and we're trying to get things for them to be productive in, whether it's dancing, whether it's playing the drums, whether it's a majorette. Majorettes, we haven't even had majorettes in 100 years, but it would be something nice to bring back, because downstate, didn't they congratulate you on your cheerleaders? Okay,
It was part of my remarks. Yep.
Yes, yes. So I'm just saying that those are the things that make children want to come to school. But I have to say this. Sticks and it's the old cliche that says, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." But I'm here to tell you, words do hurt. And words can stimulate the body. It can take away the spirit. It can degrade a person's personality. And it can also destroy a person's dignity. And it can also destroy a person's life. Words do hurt. But I say that we have to be very careful of what we say, because what comes out of here goes into the atmosphere. If you say a child is not learning, guess what? That child is not going to learn, because he's conditioned, because he keeps hearing, "I'm not going to learn, so I'm not going to learn." That's like when a parent says that child is bad. Stop labeling that child, because now that's the only way he's going to act out to get your attention, because you say he's bad. But if we have to be very careful about how we say things about our district and about our children. We can't say that they're not learning. Somebody's learning. Somebody's here. Our graduation rate went up, and then I'm jumping back and forth because you know, when I hear things about these kids in this community, we have no idea. I take this to heart. I'm not here for a show. I'm not here for a vote. I was here because God put me here. Yes, people did help me get there, but guess what? Because He used them as a vessel to put me here. So I'm not here for a show, but I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of this district. No matter which way everybody wants to say, they're growing. It takes time to grow, especially when, like I said, we have not had any structure in the last 10 years. So it takes a minute to grow. Yeah, things are changing. Things are changing all over the world today. I mean, everything is changing. I went to go buy some ink today, and it was $9. Now today I had to pay $114. So I'm just saying, change will come. So we have to be able to change with what's coming. I'm not going to be all night, but I just want you to know, let's be careful about what we say about our children. Let's be careful what we say about each other. Because see, trust and believe me, when you point that finger, these other three fingers are pointing back at you. And karma is something else. So don't ever degrade a child. You can talk about me all you want to. I don't really care, because I can defend me. But a kid, I'm not going to stand for that. So let's take that language out. Let's take that negativity out, that they're not learning. They don't want to learn. We don't know what these kids go through before they get to school. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let it go. I went to read for a class at McKinley. And I changed the whole trajectory of the reason why I was there. And I started to ask them questions. I said, let's have a question and answer. And they agreed. The teacher agreed. She said, do what you need to do. So I went from child to child. And every child I asked, I said, sweetheart, put your thinking cap on. Close your eyes for a minute. What do you envision yourself in the next 3 years, 4 years? What do you want to be? When we were growing up, we were always asked, what do you want to be? You had to be a teacher, lawyer, doctor, whatever. Out of a class of, I think it was maybe 15 students, I only had 3 students to tell me that they had a dream. One child told me, all I want to do is sleep. And I'm, baby, you can't sleep your life away. She says, all I want to do is sleep. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know what's going on in that child's household, but I can tell you this, for somebody to make a statement that they want to sleep and they have no dream, and all they come to school, and one little kid told me, I come to school to eat. What is that saying? We're here for a purpose. Whether they come to eat or whether they come to just sit or get away, we're here to teach them. They're picking up something, because they wouldn't be here. They could be roaming the streets. So I'm just saying, let's just be very careful. We have got to work together to make this thing work. I'm going to say this, Graylin, and you know what? I thought about Bobby Knight from Indiana University. How many people did he take to the promised land as a basketball player, as a coach? How many people did he help get to where they got to be, where they are? Because of the direction and the instructions that he put on them. They had to be disciplined. They had to have their grades up. He didn't take no mess. And so I'm just saying, you've taken some of his, and from that, your babies and your teams and all of your athletic departments, they're gonna succeed and they're gonna rise to a higher height.
Amen. Thank you. All right, I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. So yes, I too also agree that our students should be given every opportunity to come together and participate in activities that do build school spirit. We also need to be mindful that our students are not being put in positions where they feel pressured, where they have to choose between activities or teams, and that our role is to support them and not to corner them. So there's more than enough space and opportunity for everyone to show up. There's more than enough sports events, sport games for everyone to show up and support one another, and that's how we build a stronger, connected school community. I'd like to thank also our maintenance team for the work that they do every day to keep our schools clean, safe, and running smoothly. It does not go unnoticed, and we truly appreciate you, each and every one of you. Want to briefly address the return of funds. I'll be honest, it's something that I'm not happy about. It was not easy to follow, but I want to reassure our community that accountability is being pursued at both administrative level and at the board level, and we are taking this seriously and are committed to ensuring transparency and doing what's right moving forward. On a positive note, echoing everyone else, congratulations to our boys varsity team. They showed up incredible resilience and heart despite facing challenges right there at the end like they do every year. Even moments where their ability to compete at semi-state was nearly sabotaged, they still pushed through it. So by the grace of God, they secured 3 sectionals and 2 regionals wins back-to-back. That is a total of 5, and 5 is the number of grace. So the grace of God is certainly with them. I also want to recognize our girls cheerleading squad and Coach Mecca, a longtime community member from Logansport, personally shared with me how impressed he was with their performance and how they cheered. He actually had me chase down Mr. Brown, and I had to call him, like, don't leave until you speak to this man. But he said he's never seen such a cohesive team, and his words were they had an act for every play. So he was just very impressed. The team at Logansport has always been impressed with East Chicago on how we show up, how we present ourselves, and how we conduct ourselves. So that speaks volumes about the pride and professionalism of our students and our staff. That goes even beyond our district. So with that, I hope everyone enjoys a safe, restful, and well-deserved spring break. Date and time of the next meeting is Tuesday, April 14, 2026, right here at the Administration Building at 6 p.m. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Madam President, make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by VP Rodriguez. Second by Madam Secretary Smith. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, meeting adjourned.